Macy's Star Money Bonus Days are happening now. It's a special time when Star Rewards members earn bonus points and get to their next reward faster. You'll get $10 in Star Money for every $50 spent with your Macy's card, or $10 in Star Money for every $100 spent as a Bronze member. So go on and shop the sweetest gifts for them, then earn Star Money for yourself. Now through February 15th. Macy's Star Rewards. It's how we love you back. Visit Macys.com/Star Money for exclusions and details.
What is up, guys? I'm Dusty Grant, the host of the DG and Friends podcast. I'm excited to take this ride with you as I get to know interesting folks from all walks of life and pick their brains about their journey. I'd like to sincerely thank you for tuning in. DG and Friends starts now. What is up, guys? Dusty Grant here, episode 15 of DG and Friends. I'm here joined by Ryan Baustert of Fight fame. How are you doing this evening, sir? What's going on with you?
Good, man. Thanks so much for having me on. This is awesome.
Yeah, I'm glad I decided to. Oh yeah, we were working on some website stuff, and I was like, you should come on my podcast. And you were
That's
like,
right.
Yeah. I was like, awesome. You were doing some website stuff for me and helping me out with my website. So I'm glad we had an opportunity to get on here and talk. I've learned a lot from you by taking your seminars and stuff like that.
That's cool. I appreciate that. That's nice of you to say.
I've recommended you to other people. You know how that goes, though. Usually, when you recommend something to people, that just goes in one ear and out the other. So
yeah, they never do the thing.
like we were saying right before the podcast. Fucking musicians.
Fucking musicians, man. Yeah.
Lisa Wills is here. What's up, Lisa? How's it going? Yeah, so what's new with you, man? How's life up in Minnesota? It's got to be colder than balls up there right now, right?
Yeah, it is. I think today was -5, and like this whole week, it's been below 0, so it's pretty brutal, but it doesn't last that long. There's typically like 2 or 3 weeks every winter where it's just brutal, but yeah, I'm not going outside. That's for sure.
Do you work from home? You're able to work from home, right?
This is my home office, so I'm here like all the time. So yeah.
This week in Wichita, it's been unseasonable. I mean, it gets cold here, but it doesn't usually get. I'm from Omaha, Nebraska, so it gets a little colder up there. But in Wichita, it usually doesn't get this cold. And now we're getting like 5 degrees, and like I left my car out in the driveway Sunday night and it snowed, and I had to chip like 2 inches of ice off my shit, and it took me like 2 hours to get to work. I'm like, God, this is bullshit. I forgot how horrible this was.
Yeah,
and are you amidst the polar vortex up there? I heard there's something going on in Minnesota and like in Canada called the polar vortex. It's making.
I didn't hear about that, but probably that explains a lot. I mean, yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's Minnesota, so it's kind of like, we signed up for this. We live here. Yeah. We signed up for this. It seems like every winter, like you look on social media at this point, and everyone's shocked that it's this temperature. But it's like, come on, you live here. This happens every single year.
Like, God, it's hot in Kansas. Like, yeah, it's hotter than shit. It's like every single year. I still bitch about it though, man. I think I'm getting old.
It's just part. Yeah, I mean, it's the get off my lawn. I mean, You've earned that right at this point, so
like buckle up. You're going to get sick if you go out there without a hat on, kids. And when that stuff comes out of my mouth, nowadays, I'm like, oh my God, dude, did you just hear yourself?
Yeah. Well, what's funny, like I catch myself saying stuff that all the time that my parents used to say. And it's just like, oh man, I can't believe I'm doing that. Like I swore I would never do that growing up, and now I'm doing that and saying that to my own kids. So yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah. I how many kids do you have? I have three and a step kid.
I have 2. So I have a 4-year-old and a boy and an 8-year-old daughter. So we collected the whole set.
Yeah. You're lucky, man. I've got 2 girls, and then the twins are boys, and they're 4, and they are absolute savages.
Twins.
Yeah.
Oh. That's crazy.
Can you imagine?
No, I don't want to imagine.
And you've got a 4-year-old boy. Think if there was another one of him.
No, he's a psycho. He's an absolute psycho.
They make these memes where they show like just a normal looking guy and then like a really old haggard guy, and they're like 6 months into having twins. And I kind of used to kind of get a hearty laugh out of it when I'd look, because when my wife was pregnant, I was like, this is so beautiful. We're gonna have twins. And I was in this fathers of twins group on Facebook, and they were sharing memes in there, and I'm just like, haha, this is funny. And then when the boys were finally born, and I was looking at those memes, they hit an entire
like, oh no,
time.
this is life now.
For the next 18 years at least. Lisa, make sure that StreamYard is accepting your comments. I know that's you, but you should make sure that StreamYard is accepting your comments so we can see who you are. That's Lisa Falgoose, not Lisa Wills. We can see Lisa Wills.
Oh, so there's the comments. I was on private chat. Now I clicked on comments, and there's all kinds of stuff here. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
See, you can send me. Can send me all kinds of weird shit in the private chats or whatever you want to do. Don't worry.
Cool.
Don't worry about that at all. But yeah. So talk about the Throw the Fight stuff. How's everything going with you guys? You guys got new music out. You're going to be putting more new music out.
We're trying to. I mean, because that's really the only thing that we can control at this point. Is just the frequency that we write and record stuff. So the name of the game at this point is just trying to put out singles and EPs as much as we can. We want to have a new body of music out at least every quarter, for this year. So we put out our first acoustic EP, came out like 3 weeks ago. And then we're dropping another single at the end of the month. And then we're just kind of demoing and writing stuff on our own, and we'll go back into the studio at some point this spring and do another group of bangers. So that's kind of the plan at this point.
So did you guys, how's the response to the acoustic record? Because I know you guys have a ton of material out. You guys have been a band for a long time now.
Long time, like 18 years. So
wow.
Yeah, we've been around the block. But yeah, the acoustic stuff, it's been well received, and I didn't really think that it would be. I typically don't listen to a lot of acoustic stuff normally, every now and then, but it's been cool because it's helped kind of like bring a new audience on and just kind of like give everything just like a fresh, new set of ears for the most part. But it worked out great. The way we did it here in Minneapolis with a buddy of ours, Jeremy Turek, who's an awesome producer. And we just kind of went in like pandemic style, like each guy went in separately and did their parts, and we pieced it together, and it turned out great in the end. So, but a lot of that is attributable to Jeremy, more so to Jeremy, a lot less to us, but no, we're pretty stoked on the way it turned out. So
that's good, man. And then you have the single that's coming out is a fully electric, fully produced, like heavier single, right? Yeah,
exactly. We put out the acoustic version as part of that EP in January, and then we're going to drop the regular version at the end of the month.
Going Numb is the only one on the acoustic record that wasn't a song that you'd released electric before, right? It's the only one. And because I think I saw you post something maybe saying we're doing this one in reverse order or something.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. It'll be, why not try it at this point? We have a lot more autonomy. We bitch about the social media stuff, and it can be very aggravating sometimes, but it is pretty cool to have your own autonomy, to make your own brand, to make things and put them out there the way that you want them. Now they may not reach as many people as we'd like them to, but we at least have the freedom to create our own stuff. And
100%. And that's the name of the game at this point. Like, musicians these days have more avenues than ever to put out tracks and reach an audience. You really can't complain, like if you say like, you can't do it, or there's too many roadblocks, you're not trying hard enough. Then that's a fact right there.
There are, and I think a lot of people may still have this gloss on it or something, where they think it's just this thing where you have one really good song and all of a sudden you're just this huge, rich star. Yeah. And as you get into it, it's like, a lot of people are overnight sensations that have been working their ass off for 20 years straight to get to where they are. And you just see it after they become that. So you think it was just, I think a lot of people expect an easy road, And that's a lot of things that I've told a couple of friends starting out. I've got a friend that's going to start an solo acoustic project. And he's like, can you give me any advice? I'm like, just sit down and play and write and scream and screw up and record yourself and hate it and keep doing it and keep doing it. He's like, well, how do I write lyrics? I'm like, you got to write the lyrics, man. Write what you just keep doing it. And
I mean, there's a lot to be said about sucking, for a while. Like, it's okay to suck, for quite a while. And I think a lot of people, they want to like skip that phase of it and just go right to the awesomeness. Doesn't really work like that. I mean, you got to be willing to put in the work and do the writing and all of that stuff. So yeah, it's just part of the process,
I still, I'm 3 or 4 years into the solo thing and doing what I'm doing. And I still feel like I do a lot of sucking, man. I still feel like I still feel like I have performances that are just stinkers that I was ready for.
Everybody does.
But it's one of those things where I think when you go through those and you do have those tough shows and stuff like that, and you do pull your hair out if you have hair. I mean, neither one of us have to worry about that.
We don't have that problem.
But you pull your hair out trying to figure it out. But as we talked about briefly before, that's where learning takes place. And like when you start to maybe try to look at it with a little bit of different perception of like, okay, I'm learning something here. I shouldn't get so frustrated. This is a learning experience. What can I take from this to be more efficient next time? Or
right, exactly.
More effective or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, as long as you're seeing a progression and things are kind of going, in that trajectory, then you're winning. That's all there is to it at the end of the day. It takes a while. You can't expect these overnight results. And I think that's what a lot of people, think is going on. And, it just comes down to like, people don't see the work that's going on behind the scenes, so.
So something I'm curious about is you're a guy that has a lot of knowledge and you create a lot of awesome looking content for your band and for your stuff and your website and everything.
Cool, thanks.
So how do you, because I know you probably have 50 people a day messaging you trying to get free tips, free information, free pointers or anything like that. So how do you handle that now? Because you've gotten to a point where, you do it professionally for a living. You should be paid for your work. How do you handle musicians that are just like trying to get free shortcuts from you? Because you handle things pretty professionally.
That's a good question. And part of that is why I have my email list and my newsletter, like the whole point of that is that I share a lot of that stuff freely on my email list and things like that. So if for people who like just want free stuff, you can sign up and you can just, read through the stuff and I write blog posts. I do all kinds of free content. So there's that stuff, and I think there's something to be said about putting skin in the game at some point because, you can read all the free content and all the free stuff that you want, but if you're not going to execute on it, or if you're not going to at least like take the next step to either like learn how to do it yourself and start executing or hire that stuff out, at least have the foresight to say, what, this isn't something I really want to do. Let's hire someone to do this and get it done 10 times faster and 10 times better, but I mean, there's two different types of people, right? There's always going to be the freebie seekers and things like that. And for those people, like I've kind of weeded that out, and that's why I have the list and the free content. But yeah, you're right. I mean, like back in the day, like I used to have people like, hey, can we go out to lunch? Can we go out for drinks or whatever? And those meetings would be like 1 hour, 2 hour meetings. And it got to the point where I was just like, I can't be going out for can't be going out for lunch all the time for free, charging for this stuff. And that's why I have paid courses and paid content, so if you want to be the freebie seeker, here's the free stuff. And if you want like the done for you or, the next level, then here's that as well too. So it's really just, trying to cater to a couple of different types of audience who really just fall into the same bucket, for the most part.
Yeah. And I think like what I've actually got a lot of benefit out of is I made a lot of mistakes. I made myself suffer through certain stuff. Like even before I contacted you to finally kind of do the last touch up on the website, I had attempted a lot of things. And I was looking at my watch going, man, I don't have a lot of time right now. I could probably figure this out with another 8 hours in the basement, just going crazy.
That's exactly what I'm talking about. Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. And in that case, I think it's okay to farm stuff out when you get too slammed, if you don't have time to make a graphic or something. But if you're just doing it as a shortcut, you're going to pay the guy. He's going to do it for you. You're going to see these great results, and then it's gone.
Well, time is money at the end of the day, and what people have to realize is that there's a cost no matter what you do. It's either going to be financial or it's going to be a cost in your time, So if you don't want to pay, you're still paying in your own time, and everybody should value their time, whether you value it at $10, $20 an hour, $50 an hour, $100 an hour. I mean, that's for you to decide, but at the end of the day, there's always a cost, So yeah, I mean, it just depends on like how fast you want to reach your goals and having the foresight to just kind of like outsource the stuff that you don't necessarily, want to do or you aren't as strong at, So that's really what it comes down to. I mean, like back in the day, when we were coming up, the internet was not what it was. There was not online courses. There was not YouTube. There was not, any of this stuff. So like, I had to figure it out, like on my own. And of course it's evolved, it's always evolved.
Me, but also you. The Pharaoh fast forwards his favorite foreign film, Powder Donut. Okay, what's my line?
The only line I see here on the script is get options based on your budget with the Name Your Price tool from Progressive.
Oh man, that's a tongue twister, huh? I'm sorry, I'm gonna need a few more minutes. Bulbous Walrus, the Bulbous Walrus.
The Name Your Price tool, only from Progressive.
The owl ran afoul of the comatose coxswain.
Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law.
Evolving, but yeah, I mean, like now, like people can't complain. Like, I mean, there's more resources and information than ever. So, now it's kind of at a point where it's like it's information overload, and now you want to pay to just like have it like put in front of you, packaged up, and be like, do this, and this. There you go.
It's never that anymore, though.
Forget all the YouTube stuff and all of that stuff. So it's kind of, there's that you're dealing with too.
Yeah, I'm helping out some friends right now, and as we were talking, and I mean, I ran an ad and did some stuff for my releases, and that was not very long ago. And I'm looking at the dashboard now, and it looks different than it did a couple of weeks ago. Yeah, exactly. And there's different updates, and there's different things. When Apple releases a new update to theirs, you get all those notifications, and you have to change your settings and go. And like, you don't think about all that stuff, because you kind of get your stuff dialed in and you learn it once, and then like I kind of had mine set up on autopilot. And then I got a couple pointers, and I did a little bit of research, and I think you guys gave me some guidance with my website and stuff. And I started learning that. I'm like, oh, I can do something here. But now I'm trying to recreate what I did, and I'm having a hard time doing it. Right. I'm having to do a lot of digging. So like it's called, they say it's evolving, but sometimes for me, I feel like it's devolving.
Well, yeah, especially with Facebook too. I mean, they're the worst, it changes like every other day, I mean, like, I don't know. I mean, for us, like our Facebook profile completely changed, and I logged out of it, and our profile looks like a private profile when I'm logged out of Facebook. And I'm like, what the hell is going on here? Like, I don't know. I can't explain it, but it's an uphill battle. The struggle is real. That's for sure.
well, yeah, you get to the point where I have a really, I think I have like a really laser guided plan of attack, and I'm like, all right, I got everything, all my automation's perfect here. Yeah. Yeah. And then I get a notification like 5 minutes before the campaign goes live that they're not going to accept the ad or the artwork or something. And you're just like, motherfucker.
Yeah.
Oh my God. And then you have to go back, you got to put a little animation in it or something, or move some text out or submit it. And then it's another 48 hours for them to review your ad. You're just, God damn it.
But as long as you're learning something at the end of the day, that's what it's all about. And you're still growing. At least that's what I tell myself to make myself feel better, so.
Yeah. I mean, there has been some times where it's been like, I think I'm just going to quit doing podcasts altogether.
Yeah.
My
No,
wife's like, you're not going to quit doing it. I'm like, no, I think I'm done with this. I think I'm going to sell the gear. I think I'm mailing it in because I feel I'm hostile. I'm like, I need to go for a walk. Like, I'm
That's
really.
good, though. That's what people like, though. They want to hear that shit. They want to hear people being real. They don't want to hear the positivity. Like, that stuff's played out, man. Like, I don't buy into that at all. Like, I want to hear people keep it real.
Yeah, that's another thing where I can give the kudos to social media and all that type of thing, because I think I've gotten to know the artists that I follow a lot more personally, and I'm like fans of. I make a lot of people I'm fans of. I'm friends with, because indie artists, we can all put music out and we all have the same platform, and you could create playlists with all your friends' music on it. And I do that. I do all that kind of stuff. So it's just it is a really cool way to see the real side of artists. Yeah. And I've been very guilty of being like almost too promotion driven sometimes and not just being myself. Yeah. And I think when you're yourself a little better, I think all the other stuff kind of falls into place because people get to know you and realize what type of person you are. And then they can relate to you, and you're not just walking up to them and being like you don't just walk up to someone in the mall and introduce yourself and say, hey, I'm Dusty, listen to my music.
Right. Exactly. Right. But the funny thing is like, that's what a lot of musicians do, like they're spamming people on social media with links right away. And it's the equivalent of that. And people are just, their bullshit meter is so fine tuned at this point. Yes. You can't do that because they're just going to tune it out, So you have to like approach people like a real human being, Believe it or not, like, and that's exactly what we do. And it works for us, and the funny thing is like, I get messages from people on the daily. They're like, holy cow, I can't believe a band is actually like talking to me, like that's how sad the state of things is that, like all you need to do to cut through the noise is not spam people and just like be a real human being and like just care. That's it, and you'll already put yourself above like 10,
Isn't that strange? I mean, isn't that strange? You get like, and I don't even think it's a lot of like other musicians or anything like that. And I'm not sitting here talking shit on other musicians, but I don't think it's jaded. I think a lot of them just don't want to do the networking part of it or the social networking, or they don't understand the branding and the marketing side of it. Yeah,
they either don't want to do it, they're being lazy, or they just don't know any better. It's just it's not their own fault necessarily. It's just they're just ignorant of how it needs to be done. So.
And at the same time, it's like you just said, you come to me and ask a question that you could easily YouTube. Right. It's like I've responded to like, because people I don't know will be like, hey, how did you do that? I'll be like, youtube.com. Yeah.
Exactly.
It's not to be an asshole, but like, I can't see myself ever getting to the point where I didn't care, or where I wouldn't be interactive with, because you guys have a big following. So how do you manage all that? How do you keep in touch with everybody? Does all the band help, or are you kind of the social media guru?
They all help. I do a lot of it. Honestly, like I dedicate a lot of my time specifically to that. So I still spend hours a day, just messaging people and making sure everything gets replied to. It might not get responded to immediately, but eventually it'll get responded to. So that's really, as long as it's like a legit question or a legit comment, like if someone is like sliding into our DMs with hi, or something like that, or there's not like any context, we're probably not going to respond to that, but you can weed that stuff out, pretty quickly.
Let me see if I can find this, because this is a thing on Twitter that people are doing now. And you would probably find this hilarious if I don't know if I deleted it or not. I did delete it because I suspected that it was something super sketchy. But the lady followed me on Twitter and sent me a, hey, how are you? And I was like, hey, what's up? Yeah, what's going on? And she's like, do you know about the Illuminati? Oh, and I was like, yeah, I'm aware. And she's like, well, I'm a recruiter for the blog. And I was like, oh my God.
Unsubscribe.
Yeah. Like you said, my bullshit meter has gotten pretty good. Yeah. I can kind of detect when they're bots or if it's some weird scammy shit going on. But I got caught by this one, and it surprised me a little bit. Like, how do you weed out? Because there's so many promotion companies that offer services similar to what the services that you offer, and we can talk about the services that you offer, or just in general. Sure. How do you identify a bullshit promotion company? What are the? Because I myself I fully admit it, man. I try to screen everything I invest money in very thoroughly, and I try to read reviews and get references and all that good stuff. And I've been duped. I've given people money that I thought was going to be real, organic promotion, and it was actually them just putting bots on a song or something like that, or on a YouTube video or something like that, and like artificially inflating numbers. And I'm not interested in that at all. I want to know the real numbers. You know 100%. What I mean?
Yeah. And again, like, there's a lot that's a big industry, because there's so many artists out there that just want to take the shortcut. So, because of that, these companies will take advantage of that. And it's sad, but at the end of the day, artists need to be educated in that it's not going to move the needle for you. If it's not a real person who's in your target demographic that's listening to the song and is going to become a fan, like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, what does it matter, like, you don't need to be doing that stuff. But to go back to your question about, how do you spot red flags? Anyone who's guaranteeing you a specific finite number of plays, number of spins, number of ads, anything like that, you don't want to be involved with that, because that's a red flag that it's a bot, because there's no guarantees at the end of the day, So, the only guarantee is that, if you're going to do the work, you can pitch stuff, you can do the work and everything like that. But anyone who's going to say, oh, we'll get you 10,000 streams or 20,000 streams or whatever. Nope. You don't want to sign up for that.
No. And then you get those, hey, we can get, for $25, we'll get you 10,000 Instagram followers. Right. No, it's not. What good are they? Right. I mean, they're bots in third world countries, that aren't going to do anything for you. So you don't want that. And I'd much rather have 10 people, who are actually going to listen to this stuff than 1,000 bots, in Pakistan, so you don't want that. Hey, well, and I've even had, I think I got scammed on like one of my first singles that I dropped, and it wasn't for a lot of money. It was like $25 or something. Yeah. But I got a bunch of Instagram, or I got a bunch of Spotify streams on one of my songs at the very beginning. I was like, I had 800 plays yesterday. If I had 800 plays yesterday, at least one of those people would have saved it or liked it or followed it or contacted me or something. And then it was just over, and I tried to contact the guy and he was gone. And I was like, so now I look like a dick because I've only got 200 people following my page and it says I have 9,000 streams. Like, it's not realistic. Right. Well, and the funny, and again, it's good because it's a learning experience. Luckily, your shit didn't get pulled down or anything like that, because Spotify and all these services, they look out for that stuff. And you probably saw the thing recently with DistroKid and Spotify just like pulling down all these artists' music just out of the blue. A lot of it was flagged inappropriately. A lot of them were DistroKid artists and things like that. But that's what it is. It's just like, it just goes back to, people not wanting to do the work, and then, other people preying on that and taking advantage of people. So it's tough to sift through that stuff, because a lot of these people, they can spin up a website that looks real professional, and they can have good testimonials that they're faking and making up and all that stuff. And it's tough to cut through, and to spot that stuff. But that's really the only way to do it is to just like look out for anyone who is guaranteeing you a specific set amount of streams or ads, trying to avoid that stuff. And then, if they do have testimonials and things like that, like reach out to those artists, and things like that, and be like, hey, I saw they have a testimonial on your website. What was your experience working with these guys? That's what you should be doing too. Yeah, I've done that a few times, and I've actually called some people out. I've actually been approached by, hey, I know that you use this person. I'm like, it's absolute bullshit. Yeah. I'm like, it's absolute 100% bullshit. Don't give that guy a dime. It's not real. Yeah. And then for me as a fan, when I try to look at it objectively as a fan, when I go to an artist, let's say their YouTube channel or their Spotify channel or something, and I look at it and it says they have, 850,000 views on their YouTube video.
Yeah.
But there's like 19 likes, 4 thumbs down, and 2 comments.
Yeah. People see right through that.
Yes.
Yeah.
And to me, it's like, I wonder if they just got picked off, or if they know it and they're just trying to inflate numbers because they think, because like, don't you think these big time people and these big time managers and all these big time people that you're hoping swoop down out of the sky and give you a bunch of money to be an artist? Yeah. Don't you think those people are screening for that kind of stuff?
You would think so. I would hope so. I mean, a lot of the, I mean, it's one way. I mean, there's a lot of content around there that are saying like, there's ratios that are people are like, if you look at the monthly listeners and you look at the followers, it's the ratio should be, I don't know what it is off the top of my head, but it's like, if you have 100,000 monthly listeners, you should have 10,000 followers, on your Spotify profile. That's typically like how the math should break down. If you have 200,000 monthly listeners, it should be roughly 20,000 Spotify followers. That signals that these are real people who are like engaging with the music, engaging with your profile, and actually there because they want to be there.
Yeah. And I think I'm sitting in the 525 followers or something like that. And I don't care to tell people how many I have. I have nothing to hide. So I have like
growing every day, and that's all that matters,
Yeah, I have 525, and I think I have 1,000 monthly, but that's high for me. Right. You know what I mean? But I just released a single and stuff, and I don't know why anybody would want to do that, because they're paying attention to the numbers, and clearly they're concerned about analytics. Yeah. But they're not analyzing the right thing. I would much rather have a more engaged, an engaged audience. And that's something that I've really tried to focus on, because people like yourself have told me, a couple other people that I admire, people that I've taken seminars from, people that I've had marketing nerd chats with, they all say, they all say the same things. Everybody has different philosophies and different approaches, but they all kind of say the same thing, quit faking it, be yourself and be real and go out there and put your best foot forward and see what happens. It just seems
100%, and I think a lot of it just comes down to, a lot of artists are just comparing themselves to other artists that are like 100 steps above, past where they are. Right. And you can't, I'm going to butcher this, but it's like, you can't compare, what the quote.
Introducing touch-free payments from PayPal, a safe way for your customers to pay. Simply download the PayPal app and display your own unique QR code for your customers to scan. Whether you're a market seller,
I'll take 2 tomatoes and a cucumber,
poodle pamperer, piano tuner, or plumber, signing up to accept touch-free payments for your business is easy. Touch-free QR code payments. Shop safe with PayPal.
London Stock Exchange Group is here to be your essential global markets infrastructure and data partner, where open isn't just a platform, but a philosophy, giving you the freedom to make your mark in the world. LSEG, open makes more possible.
It is like, you can't compare where you are to somewhere where someone else is. It's just like, take stock of where you are, like set some goals, and then reverse engineer how you're going to execute on that stuff and make those goals happen. If you have 500 followers today, what are you going to do in the next month to get that from 500 to 1,000, and then reverse engineer that and then execute on those steps every single day. That's what it really comes down to.
I've been doing
the work, but that's what people don't really want to do,
Well, yeah. And like people, when you're making these cool videos and you're doing all these Instagram stories and you're taking selfies and you're doing all this shit, like nobody sees any of this stuff, the pages and pages and pages, and pages of notes and musings and ideas and checklists and shit that you put together because you're trying to, you are trying to do that. I am trying to set goals, and I'm trying to set metrics for myself, not because I have this, delusion that I'm going to be some, the next Elton John, or something like that. But just because I want to grow, I want to grow as a person. I want to grow as an artist. I want to grow my following. I want to, I just want to take it as far as I can. And like you said, it really just comes down to do the fucking work.
Right.
Because there's really no substitute for that. Like I sometimes I'm really reluctant to take things on because they scare me a little, because I think I might be in a little bit over my head.
Sure. Yeah.
And then I sleep on it, and the next day I wake up and I'm like, the best thing about that is that it does scare you a little.
Yeah, 100%. Right. You got to step into your fear. I mean, that's what you have to do. And then you come out the other end and you're better off for it.
Yeah. And it's hard to take the leap, and you feel miserable while you're doing it. And it kind of reminds me of like the first time you compete in like a wrestling tournament, or your first football game, or like your first jiu-jitsu tournament, or like you're scared shitless.
Yeah.
And then you go out there and you do it.
Yeah.
And then you're done. And that relief that you have after you've done it. And then you're like, man, I'm glad I put myself through that experience, because I learned a lot about myself from that experience.
Yeah. I feel you, man. Do you have allergies? Holy cow, dude. My allergy, dude. Allergies. Like, they're driving me absolutely nuts right now. It's just like, I swear I'm not high on Coke right now. It's just
no.
That my allergies are just killing me.
Well, it's negative 500. I mean, where are you in Minnesota?
I'm in Victoria, so I'm like 30 minutes west of Minneapolis.
Oh, yeah. So it's just like, balls cold.
Yeah. It's just, Jesus Christ. Sorry.
Yeah. If you need to blow your nose, man, it's all good. But yeah, if you guys out there, if you guys have any questions for Ryan, he's a very knowledgeable guy about the marketing side, the social media side. He's in a successful band that has pretty staggering numbers, man. I was looking at your accounts, and I mean, you guys, have you been indie throughout this whole time?
Yeah. Well, what I did was I hired this playlisting company who ran a bot in Pakistan and got us like 500,000 followers overnight. So just kidding. We don't do that. We don't do that. Nothing against Pakistan, because there are rock and metal fans in Pakistan, but that's the first one that popped into my head.
I'm saving this clip, and I'm going to tell all my friends in Pakistan that you're against them. So you guys have been indie the whole time through the whole process?
Yeah. Well, we've signed with labels, but they've always been indie labels. So, we have had some support and a small amount of financing behind us. But I mean, we're very much independent, and, it's been a combination of like putting licensing albums to indie labels, and then also releasing our own singles and EPs and things like that independently in conjunction too. So we do a little bit of both.
So are you currently in a record deal right now? Or are you guys?
Yeah, we are right now. Yep.
You are? Okay.
Yeah. Our label's called Bullet Tooth, which is an indie label that's based in New Jersey. Do you remember Trustkill Records at all?
Yes.
So it's Trustkill Records, basically. The same owner. They rebranded like 7 or 8 years ago to Bullet Tooth. But so they help out with a lot of stuff. But with our last album, we did a really like artist friendly 1 album licensing deal with them. So we're just kind of moving on that right now.
Do you guys have have you ever guys been fortunate enough to have your stuff placed in anything, any of your music placed for licensing or anything like that?
Early on, we did. Like our very, very first EP, and I'm the only guy who's still in the band from that era. But we put out our first EP, and we had licensed it to a company here in Minneapolis called In the Groove. They had a lot of success getting us syncs on like MTV and VH1 and things like that. And those songs are still like paying off a little bit to this day.
Sweet.
But yeah, it was nice. It paid off a lot more like back then, but we're still seeing a little bit of performance royalties like trickle in, from that. But other than that, no, we haven't really had like any syncs or anything like that. That is a completely different world and a completely different animal.
I got eaten alive by a licensing company last year. Right before the pandemic. I had put Up From Here out, and it got on a couple playlists that had some followings. Luckily, you know, I don't know how it ended up on one and then it ended up on another, and then all of a sudden it was on a bunch, which is the cool thing that that can happen on Spotify. It's not just a story. It did happen a little bit. For me, it was a big step.
Yeah.
And a licensing company out of like Europe hit me up and they're like, hey, we want to sign you to a deal. It's a good deal. It's not exclusive. It's 50-50, whatever. We're going to pitch you to this, and this, and this, and this. We want this. And so I put together this whole huge folder of promotional materials, all the metadata from all the songs, instrumentals, all this. I mean, I just went through the whole rigmarole. Set up a publishing company. I got all my stuff in order, made sure everything worked, set up my publishing, set up my writing. I did a bunch of the back end stuff because I was thinking if it does get placed, I want to be ready to collect. If I do get to collect a royalty or something like that, I want to make sure that I don't have some, red tape or anything like that. Sure. So it comes down to it. I get all that stuff sent and he's like, this looks great, man. I'm going to get to work. You'll see yourself on our featured artist website, blah, 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 blah. And he's like, but I'm going to. And I didn't hear from him for about 6 weeks. And I sent him an email. I was like, hey, just wanted to touch base and see how things are going. He's like, oh, we dropped you.
Thanks for letting me know.
Thanks for letting me know. You're sitting there driving to, and I'm a bit of a dream. I'm a bit of a dreamer, man. It's fun to dream, right? It's fun to think, hey, man, how crazy would it be if one of my stupid songs ended up on a Netflix series or something?
It's not that crazy. It happens all the time, right?
So I'm like, I might be getting lucky, and I was like, I was hanging my hat on this like possibility that it could be out there. Nope, dropped.
That's too funny. But I mean, at least but that's okay. At least you didn't sign a deal where you gave away all your publishing and it was an exclusive deal. And then they dropped you. And then you're like, oh shit, now what? Now they own my publishing and they own those songs. If you would have done that, you would have really been fucked, So yeah. At least you didn't do that. At least you had the foresight to know not to do that. So I mean,
it was there was nothing exclusive about it. And another guy approached me, and I signed a deal with him, and nothing's happened. But he's still working on it. I think he's really small, and I think he works with really, really small indie producers and stuff. And I'm cool with that, man. If my song ends up in someone's video on YouTube and 200 people watch it, I'm stoked. So I don't care at all. But
I mean, a lot of that stuff is really just if you're on an indie like sync company and stuff like that, and they're actively pitching your stuff, I mean, those are the people who are really in tune with the music supervisors, and they're having those conversations every day with those people. They know what they're looking for. So I mean, if you have a chance to have someone who's really going to go to bat for you, then that's great. But the problem with that is you don't necessarily know until you do the deal. And then, and then you kind of dealing with those people at that point. And you kind of just have to just hope it works out. You always want to have some sort of out in case it doesn't.
Well, and these were both things where I was a little nervous, and that's something too. It's, if I ever get in over my head, what am I going to do if I need a lawyer?
Well, yeah.
Ryan, can I borrow $5,000 for an entertainment lawyer?
They don't cost that much. But always hire a lawyer. There's something to be said, dude. You always hire an entertainment lawyer. Always, it's the best money you'll ever spend.
I signed a couple things and I read them, but they were very clear about me being able to get out of it within 30 days notice. Yeah. So it was like, okay, and Cade's in here too.
Look at that guy.
He's saying lawyer up. Yeah. That's good advice though. I mean, I hope someday I'm in the position where I need an entertainment lawyer. Unfortunately, right now I'm not in that situation. They just hand me $50 and tell me to get the fuck out of there.
No, you will be though eventually, I mean, it really just depends on what your goals are and what you want to do. If there's a lot of like backlash against record labels right now. It's cool for like all these independent companies and to be like, fuck record labels, blah, 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 you know, but there's a lot of good things that a good record label can do for you if you have the right deal, you know, in front of you and they're putting money in the right areas. But yeah, you always want to have a lawyer like review paperwork and stuff like that, you know, I mean, yeah, for sure. Because I mean, we're not,
I don't even know.
We're not.
Yeah, I'm not a lawyer. I'm definitely not. I might be a family law lawyer with all the time and money I spend involved in that. But that right. we could talk about that another time.
Yeah, right.
Most people in here know my dark past. It's all good. All right, so we're getting a couple questions here. This is my buddy Shandon. He's a big fan of your style of music.
Nice.
Are you guys all from Minnesota? And how did you guys come together?
Yeah, we are from Minnesota, and we came together in 2003 when I was going to college in Wisconsin, in Menominee. So I started the band there, and we just started playing like house parties and little bars. We would do like pop punk covers, like New Found Glory and stuff like that, you know. And then eventually just started writing our own stuff, and here we are, 18 years later, you know.
Yeah, and you guys, I can hear a lot of pop punk. I can hear a lot of screamo. I can hear a lot of rock. I can hear metal. There's some screaming. It has. I mean,
stuff.
Yeah, I listen to it. I listen to I just listened to your artist radio or whatever on the way home from work today. I always do that on the days where I have podcasts, so I can try to get really acquainted with everybody's, material and stuff like that. And you guys have a pretty broad spectrum, and your following is a testament. Like, you're a guy that's standing here saying, I've been doing this for 17 years.
Yeah.
And the results are what they are because you've worked your ass off, and you've been smart, and you've taken chances, I'm sure.
I mean, we took a lot of chances, we've been persistent. I mean, there's something to be said about just doing it day and day and day and day. And it gets to a point, where you do it for so long, it becomes part of your DNA, and it's just like who you are. There was a period of, I want to say like a year where we took a hiatus. And after a year, it was just like, I was bored, we didn't know what to do. And next thing you know, we started writing songs again. And then we're, the band's back together, and here we are doing the thing again, so that was like in 2015, but yeah, we still love doing it, and it's fun. So I think as long as it's fun, and as long as like we can keep writing songs and keep releasing songs, and we can do it like on our own terms, then that's kind of the name of the game for us at this point. Back in the day, we used to have a lot of pressure to like write hit songs or like tour for the sake of touring, like nonstop driving across the country to play for negative 20 people, and now we don't have to do that anymore. That stuff doesn't move the needle at all, so we can kind of just do what we want to do on our own terms. And that's super appealing to us at this point, especially now that we're all like pushing 40 and we've got kids, and stuff like that. So like, I don't necessarily want to do a lot of that stuff anymore, Yeah,
how old of a guy are you, if you don't mind me asking? I'm 30. How old of a guy are you, if you don't mind me asking? You're 39?
39, yeah.
Yeah, I'm the exact same age as you. So yeah, I totally get you there. So do you feel like nowadays that touring isn't as important as it was before when you were coming up?
Well, it's important for sure. I think, especially if you're a rock band, or if you're any sort of band, like you need to be able to hack it live, and you have to have chops for sure. You can do all the digital marketing and all the Facebooking and all the DMing you want to, but you'll never be able to connect in a way with people like you can at a live show and being able to have that interaction, so that's super important. But yeah, it's not as necessary anymore. I mean, you can build a hell of a following and make a shitload of money, on your sound recordings without ever having to leave your house, at this point, so that was not possible, 10 years ago, 15 years ago. So
that is something that I figured out. I mean, the touring part of it for me, and I say touring, but a lot of it's, it's a lot of it's two shows, 3 shows, and then I'm back home. And then maybe
Weekend warrior like stuff.
Yeah. And then once a year, maybe I'll go out for 10 days or something like that, or 11 days and try to put a run together with friends and stuff like that. But that's what I can do.
Right.
You know, with my time constraints and stuff. I mean, I don't know if you know this, Ryan, but I'm not out there making hundreds of thousands of dollars for my performances. You know,
Get out of here.
yeah, I mean, I know this is going to come as a huge
it.
shocker. I mean, it's going to be super hard to believe, you know, but it's like, I can't drop everything and play 300 shows a year, man. I mean, I could, but I couldn't live with myself if I did.
I would
that,
never recommend that to anybody anymore, you know? And yeah, we've had like people in the industry approach us like years and years ago. And they're like, you gotta quit your life and go on the road. And it's like, fuck you, bro. Like that's easy to say when you're the guy sitting in the office and it's not your finances on the line and you're not, you know, I mean, I sound like I'm bitching, but like,
not at all.
That's the truth, you know? So it's just like, I love touring and I love playing shows and doing that, but it's just like there's so much BS that goes into it, and it's easy for a lot of people in the industry who aren't in a band and you know who are on the other side of the table to be like, yeah, just quit your life and go on the road. But no, that's not a good idea at all. You know, I mean, until you have an audience who is going to buy tickets and wants to see you there, like, you know, you don't need to leave your hometown, you know, like build up your following in your hometown, like draw a circle around where you live and drive, you know, 2 or 3 hours in every direction and build it up regionally, you know, do that before you drive across the country and to Canada or wherever else you want to go, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. And there is something to be said for that experience of traveling and getting on the road and having to test yourself.
Yeah.
But I
for sure.
I think over the pandemic, it told, and I definitely don't try to turn this podcast into, you know, pandemic talk, but it's a reality we're all facing right now. And we've been facing it for a year now. You know, I remember this time of year last year, I was canceling all my shows and stuff. So, but I actually had from an analytics standpoint, I actually had a decent year and I saw some growth. You know, I brought the podcast on and I recorded a couple tunes and I promoted my other single and I've seen it grow. So it's like, you know, maybe this year I don't need to take all of those shows. Right. Because before before I did it because I wanted to, you know, I didn't feel like I had to because I have a career that supports me and my family. I mean, I'm content in my career. You know, is it a dream? Is it a dream every day? No, it's not, but it keeps food on the table and I'm cool with that. Yeah. That's 100%. All I'm looking for. I don't have to worry about where my next paycheck's coming from, which I love. But now I don't think I'm going to tour as much. You know, I'm going to play shows definitely, and I want to hit areas, but I don't think I'm going to do every waking weekend that I possibly can. I'm away because I want to be with my kids too. And I think I can still reach people and find my following and be a little bit more selective to gigs that are a little more artist friendly.
And that's the beauty of it too. You can do that now. And, it's your career. Like you get to call the shots, do what you want. So that's the beauty of it.
That's making it, is it not?
Yeah, that is making it. Absolutely. Yeah.
And I talk about that with a lot. I talk about that with almost everyone that comes on the podcast because most of the time it's an independent artist or somebody that was self-made or a fighter that was self-made, you know, that kind of stuff. Yeah. And the definition of making it, I think, on the outside is like this huge lavish thing where you fly around in a private jet. And I'm like,
those days are long gone. I mean, unless you're Kanye West, that stuff, you know, that stuff does exist for sure, you know, but yeah. And like for people like us in the rock world, I could probably count on one hand the amount of rock or metal bands that are flying around in jets and things like that, you know? So,
yeah. And it's like, I guess I'm not so concerned with other people's definition of making it anymore. It's kind of like you said, it's when I can feel some pride of having something that's mine. Yeah. And I feel like I'm creating art with some sort of a purpose and feel like it is growing. And I can apply the things that interest me. I'm a marketing and analytics guy. Those things interest me. I'm just a lot of people
all that stuff too. Like I like the marketing and I like the numbers and things like that. And, you know, honestly, like going back to like what works and things like that, like I think artists just need to like own their data a little bit more and rely on social media, you know, like build your email list, actually have a website, stop relying on Facebook and Instagram to deliver your content to an audience, you know, because they can turn that tap off at any time they want to. And I mean, we see it, you know, all the time, you know, so that's kind of one thing that, you know, artists should really, really pay attention to is just like, you know, have a list, have data, and own that audience, you know? So, and then of course you know, then there's the whole conversation of like, what do you do with a list? You know, like, what do you do with all that stuff? And that's a whole nother deal in and of itself. But yeah, you really want to own that content for sure.
I think the mailing list is maybe overlooked by a lot of music fans now because of the nature of where we are with social media. Yeah. And I've something that's been really interesting on Twitter is I've gotten a part of this like music marketing group, and it's a couple other guys, and we're just in this little chat together, and we just bounce ideas off each other and stuff like that. And all those guys are working on their mailing lists, and it's like I'm seeing a ton of artists focus on that, and I've signed up for some artist mailing lists, and their mailing lists are badass. Way more awesome than any social media post that they ever do.
Who was it?
There's a guy named Nunny Boy.
Okay.
There's a guy, let me think of the other. There's a guy named Uriwan. There's another guy named Music Marketing Academy. If you're not following him, his name is Dez. He came on the podcast. Cool. Because the marketing part of it does fascinate me. Yeah. And I think it's underutilized by a lot of musicians just because they don't understand it or they don't have interest in it.
Right. And and there's a reason that every business on the planet does email marketing and has a list is because it works, you know, like, and it works for musicians too. It's just a matter of like, you know, and that's all I did is I just figured out how to make it work for us. You know, it's just a matter of just like studying that stuff, learn what works, and then just apply it to your own audience and you know, being a band and stuff like that.
And and what works for you in your list may not work for me in my list. And and thinking and having the wherewithal to but you have to be like super malleable because everything changes so fast. But I do get discouraged growing my mailing list because I've grown it and I've consistently grown it, but I never get them in increments of 5. I got to get them one by freaking, and every time I get one, I'm like, yes, got them, you know, one more. But I even have it. I have the mailing list signups at all my shows, and I pump it when I'm on stage, sign that mailing list. And I'm like, I'm going to have like 10 signatures on that bitch when I get back there. And it's like, nothing. So sometimes I get really discouraged with the mailing list because I'm like, nobody wants to do this shit. But
they do though, you know, and it really just comes down to like the type of offer that you have, you know, like you have to have, like if you've got the, hey, sign up for my newsletter thing, no one cares about that. No one wants to be on another newsletter. Like you have to have a good offer that you're putting in front of people. And for us, what works is just like giving out a free record, you know, like the downloads, like, and people, like I hear this from bands all the time and clients, they're always like, do MP3s really work? And it's like, yeah, they do. They still, you know, people will still sign up to download some tracks, you know? So we just give out a record and, you know, we have a bunch of automation set up in the background to like introduce videos and introduce Spotify and introduce our merch. And it's all dripped out, you know, over a period of time, and it's all on autopilot. I mean, that's the kind of stuff that, you know, a lot of artists should really, really invest in, like learning how to do and do well. And you'll see your shit like take off, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, once you get that stuff dialed in, and it doesn't happen overnight, you know, you're always testing, you're always doing different stuff. But I think that's something that, you know, everyone should be doing for sure.
I think I might have made a New Year's resolution on this podcast today. I think I might spend like one less hour on Twitter and maybe one more hour on my email list. You know what I mean? And really,
you know what's funny? Twitter works the best. Twitter works the best for me. Like
I love
that's
Twitter.
How we grow our list. I do too. It's like I just message people like, hey, I saw you were following this band, you know, who's similar to us. You know, do you want me to send you a link to download our record? And, you know, the people who respond, yes, I send them the link, and then they sign up. That's how I got in touch with Lisa. And this is the whole reason why we're featured in that Octane Facebook group right now, is because I contacted Lisa, which is crazy, you know, and now here she is. So it's just like, we've gotten so many like people onto our list and podcast interviews and all kinds of good shit happening just from Twitter and from me, just like not spamming people, just like having an actual conversation to people who are like in our demographic and getting them onto our mailing list. And then once you do that, then they're in your world, you know, then a lot of that other stuff, you know, can kind of like take over on autopilot and you don't have to worry about it as much. But yeah, I mean, it's a lot of work to set up.
You have to build, you have to
self-explanatory, you know, so
you have to build trust, you know, there's an element of trust in that. When I really started working on my Twitter account last year, I think I had around 600 followers on there. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to focus more on Twitter because Facebook was just annoying me straight up. I was like, I'm just sick of I'm making posts on my artist page and the statistics are insulting.
It's garbage.
I'm like, this is absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah.
So I started working on my Twitter and I started following other artists that were like me, following artists that were fans of other. And it's been mostly a lot of our other artists and a lot of indie musicians and podcasters and radio, indie, all these I've met this huge community of indie people that are out there just like supporting each other. And I'm like, what?
Yeah.
I've been missing out on this for a long time.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
I'm old school with Twitter. Like we've been on Twitter for like 12 years at this point. And I used to do the same thing with MySpace. So like we came up early on, like in the early MySpace days, like MySpace and Pure Volume and stuff like that. And I would do the same thing. Like my girlfriend at the time, who is now my wife, her and I would go to the library because they had a better Wi-Fi connection than where we were living at the time. This was literally like, I don't know, like 15 years ago or whatever when I was in college. But we would go there and she would message people on Pure Volume. I would message people on MySpace and we would, you know, work to get those people onto our mailing list. So, and I teach the same thing to my clients is like, use social media as tools to get people onto the channels that you own, which is going to be your website and your email list. You know, that's really it. You know, that's the secret sauce, you know, between that and getting people to follow you on Spotify and maybe to some extent, you know, subscribe to you on YouTube. You only need to really focus on that. That's it. Like forget all the other stuff, you know.
That's
my 2 cents. Like that's what works for me. And obviously like, so the next guy will have a completely different, you know, take on it, but that's what's worked in my experience. And we still do that, you know?
I think it's tried and true. And I think it speaks volumes and your numbers and your success speaks for itself, man. So
thanks, dude.
I mean, it's very impressive and I'm glad I came across you. I don't know. I don't even know how I found you. I think I found you through your newsletter, quite frankly. I think I might have seen an ad on Facebook or something and I signed up for your newsletter and here we are now, like 2 or 3 years later.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like I wrote an email course about booking, like how to book your band like a handful of years ago. And yeah, I just ran some Facebook ads to it. And that's how I built a large part of that email list was through that first email course. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love email courses. They're great because you can write them and you can like have them go out to people and yeah, you know, I think a lot of people like opt in and they don't realize that if they respond to that, it still goes to a real person, you know? But I still get like people respond and they'll be like, I don't know if you're a robot or if there's another person on the other end of this, but I have a question. I still
you never know anymore.
All the time.
Well, Ryan, we've hit an hour here, man. It was an amazing conversation. I knew it would be. I'm super glad that you came on the podcast. If you have anything, if you have anything to promote, now's the time to do it before we wrap this up.
Sorry, my allergies are kicking my ass right now.
This is your time to give your radio spiel.
No, yeah, for sure. Check out throwthefight.com if you want to like check out the music. You can go to ryanbaustert.com. I have a free email course there if you want to like learn some Spotify stuff and how to grow your audience on Spotify. If you're a musician, you can go to my website, ryanbaustert.com or throwthefight.com. It's all right there. Thanks so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Of course, man. Anytime you want to come on here and promote anything or talk about anything, just let me know. You're always welcome. You've got an open invitation. I'm humbled and honored that you would join us for the show. And I think everybody that was watching really enjoyed it.
Cool.
I will get this edited up and I will send you some Spotify links tomorrow, my friend. Thank you so
awesome,
much.
Dude. Sounds good. I'll take my Claritin next time. Holy shit.
It's okay. I will too. Guys, that's a wrap for episode 15 on DG and Friends. Stay away from mainstream media, drink a beer, and rock out to some Throw the Fight. I will see you guys next time on DG and Friends.
Thanks, guys.
All right, guys, that's a wrap on today's episode. Thank you for tuning in. Don't forget to follow and subscribe to the show on your podcast platform of choice to be notified of new episodes and leave a positive review if you dig what you're hearing. Guys, I would love to hear from you on social media. Let's get connected at DustyGrant57 on all platforms. All right, y'all, that's it for now. See you next time on DG and Friends.
Introducing touch-free payments from PayPal, a safe way for your customers to pay. Simply download the PayPal app and display your own unique QR code for your customers to scan. Whether you're a market seller,
I'll take 2 tomatoes and a cucumber,
poodle pamperer, piano tuner, or plumber, signing up to accept touch-free payments for your business is easy. Touch-free QR code payments. Shop safe with PayPal. Introducing touch-free payments from PayPal, a safe way for your customers to pay. Simply download the PayPal app and display your own unique QR code for your customers to scan. Whether you're a market seller,
I'll take 2 tomatoes and a cucumber,
poodle pamperer, piano tuner, or plumber, signing up to accept touch-free payments for your business is easy. Touch-free QR code payments. Shop safe with PayPal.